Right now, you're asking yourself the same question I am, which is, where is Cat Ba Island? And why am I even here? It's a good question. We're gonna go through where it is, how to get here, and why you may wanna consider this for yourself. From Cat Ba Island, looking down on some of Ha Bay and the floating village. A little bit closer is the ferry terminal where all of the cruises go out. You can go into the ferry terminal and try to arrange your own ticket for a discount, but it's a little bit of a circus as all of the boats are coming and going. So it's really quite a bit easier to just make an arrangement through your hotel. Then it's doorstep pickup, doorstep drop off. So you can't be in the great big north of Vietnam and not come to do the Ha Long Bay. So that's the first reason I'm here. It is late March, last week of March. The second reason I'm here is because the weather is just so good right now. Mid-20s Celsius, that puts you in the 80s Fahrenheit. If you're in Hanoi arranging tours out to Ha Long Bay, Lan Ha Bay, one-day trip will cost you in the 40s of US dollars, and the big 3-day cruises, 4-day cruises are in the mid $300 to be on those nice boats. But I have the time, and I'm really a thrifty person, so I wanted to find out, can you get closer to the end of the line and get better and better bargains as you go? I made my way to Ha Long City, and it was so cheap to stay there. I was waiting like 5-6 days for the weather to clear. It was just terrible, and it was so cheap that it was a no-brainer to just hang out and wait. But then I thought, why not get even closer where some of the ferry tours launch and see if I can get even better deals, which I did. And it's so cheap to be here. I'm staying in this nice hotel for 14 US dollars a night. King size bed, my own bathroom, I'll show you that. This road, I mean, as soon as you start going up that road, it's more local, it's true Vietnamese. And there are lodging, there's homestays all the way back to like the Buffalo Hostel, which is like, oh my gosh, even from the Horseshoe, that's like a 10 or 15 minute moto ride. Well over an hour to walk. You know, that distortion on the map of not knowing how close or far that is, just understand that. Along this lagoon front, the flow of traffic is much, much lighter. So you're not gonna get the noise level that you do out on the true front row around the Horseshoe, but still, the issue you still have is the acoustics of the mountainside and that reverberation, right, that echo. Reason number 3 was that price is so good that with the weather being, this is some of the best weather in all of Vietnam, right here, right now. Why be in a hurry if I don't have to hurry? So the question then comes up, can I stay in a place, like is this a good place to be staying long term, to just hang out? And it's beautiful in some ways, you know, but there is a lot of work going on. And so is it like, maybe it's an undiscovered gem. Anytime I see the price tag and it's, you know, there's the beautiful stuff around it, why not give it a shot? So you could do it, but you might find yourself getting island fever. Let's take a walk down the end of the Horseshoe for effect. So in this story, I went to Ha Long City pursuing just that, as maybe it's some paradise, but it ended up being kind of eerie what I found, and I'll show you right now. I am somewhere in Ha Long City, and where I am doesn't even matter, because this happens everywhere you go. I mean, if I had to take a stab at it, I would say 75% of the buildings, super fancy, but abandoned. There's just nothing. So most of the city, I mean, okay, so I'll step out. You can see that is a significant construction project, and it's everywhere you go in Ha Long City. So it just unfolded that I ended up on Cat Ba Island because people in the know, people who had been here, like, oh no, this is, you know, the prices are better, it just keeps getting better, and, you know, I think you should judge for yourself. I have read articles talking about how this is an unspoiled paradise. I wouldn't agree with that, but they are doing the best they can with everything, all things considered, at maintaining sort of an ecological harmony with the tourism they need to survive. You know, and then I've heard people say like, oh, stay out, it's just a construction zone. Yeah, you can work around it. I'm somewhere near the bottom of the horseshoe, and this is just a perfect shot. It doesn't even matter where I'm at. But it's pretty noisy on the front row and inside the horseshoe, because those buses start moving at like 6 or 7 in the morning to take everybody off to the boat ferry dock. And they're building because this place is getting more popular, and they're fully prepared to take advantage and give you the experience you want anyway. So some people are like, oh, don't even go, it's just a construction zone. Yeah, that's true. There is work going on, but there are ways to mitigate that. And here's a couple of them. Stay even just one building back from the row if you're really sensitive to the sound. Because we're in a canyon, if you can see, on both sides, all around. So the sound, the acoustics it echoes, it's loud. Or bring a really good set of earplugs, but it won't really bother you anyway if you can control, you know, your cycle is go to bed early when it gets quiet and then get up early. There's another way you can do this is go stay in a homestay outside of Cat Ba town proper. There are some very peaceful areas up in the hills, out on the beach. But what you'll have to do as a trade-off is what you'd be doing anyway, which is renting a motorbike to be burning up the pavement around the island, exploring. So if you don't mind this, and like me, I do like to be close to all the action and the resources. So I don't have any complaints. It hasn't really bothered me that much because I have really good earplugs. But a couple of times it has woken me up. Anyway, I mean, and it just goes and goes. All right, next. Where I'm standing at a high vantage point from the top of the horseshoe. When you look at a map, it's unmistakable. It's in the center of Cat Ba town. So as you look down, the first thing you see is the night market, or some people call it the square. But all the construction you see out there, the point of this shot anyway, is that completely transforms the face of Cat Ba town. It's going to be going on for years. It is late March 2025. I've heard everything from 2 years from now to 5 years from now, but that's one of the biggest projects I've ever seen in my life. Just for further context, we're down here at the edge of where you are allowed to be, just so you have a better idea of the size, the scope of this project. So now we're looking westward on the front row of hotels, westward. I'm at the eastern end of the front row. That's the end of it. If I keep going, that'll take me to Cat Ba Beach 1 and 3, which has the cliff pathway paved. Rather than walk you through it, I'm gonna give you the link to a POV walk that you can feel like you're doing it yourself. I mean, if I was to walk, which I have done, from this end all the way to the end of the lagoon loop, man, it's at least a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, depending on how many obstacles you have along the way. So just take that into account when you're making your reservation, how close you want to be to the center, the square, where all the action focuses. I mean, make no mistake, there are restaurants at the ends of these and karaoke's and stuff, but it really concentrates toward that center where the horseshoe is. Does that make any sense? I hope I'm making sense. Oh, and there's a few places that have happy hour where they'll sell you a fresh pulled draft for 10,000 dong. Oh, that's like 35 cents. It's so cheap. So housekeeping questions. There is a Viettel store up the horseshoe. When you're looking at Google Maps, looking for ATMs, most of the leads, there's nothing there or it's broken. There is, however, this Agribank ATM, which is like the favorite for a lot of people because the fees are so good. So take note of where I am. We're on the front row, and that's the construction side, what used to be beachfront, right? It's way more built up than you would think looking at Google Maps or Booking or Agoda. You will always have a restaurant or coffee shop within reasonable reach, as you can see, and there are travel, arrange your tours. So both taking you out around the island and out into the bays, but also your travel onward on a bus. So we're up near the top of the horseshoe, and I'll show you where I chose to stay. Here's the thing, we're set back by one row of buildings. So the noise level, naturally, it's lower back here. And there were like dozens of options at these great prices with very high guest ratings. Something in the guest comments made me choose this. So this is Jam. She's the queen. She's the queen. She runs the Napoli Hostel, which is hardly a hostel. It's like somewhere between a hostel, hotel, and homestay. It's very nice. I'm paying her right now, but you have to understand, this is late March. It's a shoulder tourism season. It's costing me $14 a night, but that will change. That goes up once you get into summer. So the great thing about doing your touring reservations right here with Jam in this case is she has all these informative pamphlets that, categorically for each thing, what you want to do. And this map of the island so she can help you understand all your different choices. But let's give you some concrete examples, right? We talked about Hanoi reservations. From here, if you're doing the 2-day, 1-night cruise, 3, 4, 5 star, $100 to $135. This is what I have done here. A full-day boat cruise through Ha Long Bay and Lan Ha Bay mine was $28 because I chose smaller boat, smaller group. But if you're willing to do bigger boat, bigger group, $22 for that. So mine was $28. You can also, if you're not a morning person, because that cruise, you're out of here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you get back at dinner time. They give you lunch. You can do a sunset on the bay. And this is, according to the boat drivers, right now is the best time of year to see the bioluminescent after sunset. You kayak in it. But even that can be weather dependent on how much of a show it puts on. Oh, okay, there we go. $36 or sunset, $16. Half day hiking, which you can just rent a moto, go to the national park, and do yourself full day trekking. Now this is a serious thing. You have the shot on a 12-kilometer hike in the national park of seeing those beautiful langurs, which are very, very rare. And apparently mostly only on this island at all. Getting here to the island, this is Cat Ba Island. 2 ferries bring you here. The first one, where most people travel by bus, is through Haiphong, the very large industrial city, because it's such a short ferry ride here. You can see shore to shore, and the boats just go constantly. It's maybe like a 15-minute ferry ride across. That's how I got here. You line up, and then you travel down to Cat Ba town, where we are right now. The other way you get there is from Ha Long City, and you get on in Ha Long in the Tuan Chau ferry port, and arrive at Luan ferry here. These are your, Lan Ha Bay, Ha Long Bay stuff that you are so concerned with. So most of the time, you're staying here in Cat Ba and taking off out into where you want to be. Please ignore the mess. I've been here for a while, but this is just to give you an idea of the kind of room that I was able to get at that price, right? Hanging up clothes, bigger bed, what I use as storage, a little bit of desk, do some work, do your internet, do your whatever you need to do. There's a small little fridge. There is climate control. And what else? Here's what a bathroom will look like. This is pretty nice. But you get your shower. So there you go. That's what the room looks like, all right? $14 at the end of March, with a low tourist volume. Here's the deal, that row of buildings is protecting me from the sound of traffic that develops early in the morning, but I still have a pretty good view of the mountainsides, as you can see. I am up on the 4th floor. It does echo a bit, but it's probably quite a bit more peaceful than being out on the main road. I'm at the entrance point to the Chang Cave. It's the biggest cave on the island. Yeah. I have to tell you, I've done it. You could do it in bare feet if you wanted to. The whole inside is paved. See people in slippers. The hardest part about that cave, it's long, it's lit throughout, there's lighting throughout, but there's these long portions where you have to walk and bend over 90 degrees. You don't have to crawl anywhere, but so you do have to be physically able. Okay, so when you get here, we've come up from Cat Ba town, heading northbound, and the national park is stone's throw, like 500 meters, maybe a kilometer that way. Plenty of bike parking, And the cave itself, you climb these stairs and go right into that mountainside and come out on the other end. And on the other end, there is a restaurant with restrooms. Very nice place to sit back, have some ice cold water, some rice. This is my new friend here. He's running the shop, collecting the funds. So there you go. That's the cave. Let's head on up to the national park and see what that entrance looks like. So if you do the national park, the short course, 1.5 kilometers, is plenty. It is a workout. I've seen people doing this in sandals, but I'd recommend shoes. I wouldn't recommend being out here if it's raining out with it's kind of a smoothed out limestone. But it's a steep incline. I mean, you're gonna work for it. Probably the biggest thing is that the park closes the gates at 5 o'clock p.m. Give yourself several hours to be out here that you can take breaks, take it all in at the top, and just enjoy the journey along the way. So your other option is a 12-kilometer long course that goes to all the way to the other side of the island. But it sounds like the way you do that is on a tour, because you get dropped off at the gate, go all the way across like 6 mountain ranges, and then you take a boat ride back to Cat Ba City. Because the problem would be if you trek those 12 kilometers, which are not going to be easy, you have to go out and back if your transportation is sitting at the main gate. This is the entrance point to the national park, which is along the road that kind of creates almost a north-south access. I know that's like northwest-southeast. And we're about halfway from Cat Ba town to the ferry terminal on the north end. So point to point from Cat Ba town to the ferry terminal on the north end is an hour on a motorbike. 45 minutes if you're really moving, but you don't want to go fast. So give yourself an hour if you're doing that transit. Here, at about the halfway point, straight back there is the path to the top of the mountain with the viewpoint. That will cost you as an adult 120,000 dong, which is just under $5. Or if you're doing the long tour, 160,000 dong. That's a little over $7 US. So you come get your ticket here. That ticket, even the short route, that will get you access to the big cave, Trung Trang Cave. Okay. There's food here. There's food all along the way, both ways. But they close these gates, or, it closes at 5. I don't know how exactly they sweep everybody out. But you can park your bike here for 5,000 dong. Or if you're in a wheeled true vehicle, 20,000 dong. So the bike parking, that's 25 US cents, $0.25. Less than $1 for a car. Who even drives a car here? I don't know. What if I was on a budget? A really tight budget. And I wanted to see some of the limestone karst out in the water, but I can't afford it, or I am morally opposed to doing one of the really expensive tour boats. Could I get on that ferry at a budget price and spend a day doing an up and back? So if you really want to take the hero's journey, maybe you're cheating the system a little bit, maybe you're just being clever. What you can do is take the ferry. Now this ferry gets used a little bit less for transporting all of the travelers, the vacationers. It only goes back and forth like 3 times a day right now, 3 each way. But to get on the ferry, it's 60,000 dong as a walker, just like a pedestrian, but that's kind of hard logistically to work out. So if you have a motorbike rented for about $5 a day, at least from my hotel, to bring the bike and ride the ferry through all of that. Some people even argue this is a more scenic ferry ride than the actual Ha Bay tours that you pay a bunch of money for. So to bring the bike on and take the ferry each way is 80,000 dong. That's just slightly over three US dollars. It was time to take an adventure, and it's a beautiful, beautiful ferry ride through all the rocks that we're headed towards right now. So I'll include a link to the POV of going through. These timetables are posted on both sides of the ferry. This side is the Cat Ba Island side, where we are right now in late March. There we go, September to April. First one leaves Ha Long at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it just goes back and forth. Last one leaves here, Cat Ba Island, where we are right now, and that's the last one loading, going for the night. That's it, 4 o'clock. Once you get into higher tourist season from April to September, goes a few more times a day. Rider with a motorbike, which I am, 80,000. On both sides, they're not cooking like real food, but they have snacks, coffee, so they close it down as soon as that last boat loads. Of course, bathrooms cost you a few thousand dong, not much. And they have fuel on the Ha Long side, right as you get off, a fuel station if you get into a pinch somehow, some way. But some of the bus tickets that you buy, the bus will drop you here, you go on foot with your suitcases, and then a bus picks you up on the other side. So let's just say you happen to go take the ferry. You went up to the north end and you took the ferry and you took the 1 o'clock going north, and then you came back on the 3 o'clock ferry and got back here 4 o'clock. As you make your way back down the island, right about at where the national park entrance point is, there's a road that cuts west, and that will bring you to this point, which is cliffside. And as you get close to sunset, oh, you got a couple of these pavilions. There's one right there and one right here. Beautiful sunset point over Port of Haiphong and some of the rest of the island. If it's late in the day and you're wondering what to do with yourself in the middle of the island, well, this might just be your best bet. So everybody's really excited because the tent square is back up and running. They finally rebuilt it. All kinds of vendor stalls, food, clothing of all sorts, shorts, t-shirts, pants. These are all they're counterfeit for sure, you know, North Face, Patagonia, you name it, but they sure feel really robust construction. If the words mean anything to you, they've got the Flight Series windstopper jackets here. But the reason why that's worth pointing out is the weather can, right, this time of year, up until now even, it can turn in a heartbeat and all of a sudden be just freezing cold, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna die. So know that, yeah, it's here on the island, or if you're headed directly up into Sapa or Hajang, you know, those are the mountains. It can be very cold up there, and you did not have the layers yet, so you don't have to go back to Hanoi. You can get your stuff here. Oh, here's my friend. So she sold me some pants the other day. She sold me these. They're not waterproof, but they're stretchy and windbreakers, and they zip into shorts.
Very nice quality, very cheap.
I got her down, she doesn't want me to tell you this, but I got her down to 250,000, which still isn't even a great price actually, but it was like so cold. That night, I had destroyed my pants. I spilled salad dressing on them, and it looked like I had had a bathroom accident, and she was making fun of me. Let's go ahead and ask. These ones, yeah? Best price?
Yeah, this is good price. 350.
Oh, these are really nice. I really want one, but I already have layers. So 350,000 dong, that's 14 US dollars.
Yeah.
Why so expensive? She's very frustrated with me right now. So there's other things. You've got all these kinds of bags. And this is important if you're headed up into the mountains, you know, Chau, Sapa, Hajang, that you can gear up with all this stuff. You got hats, you got hip bags. And if, you know, the weather's turning right now, so this is important for a lot of you. Shoes, lighter layers, you know, backpacks of all kinds of different sizes. It's all here. So the trade-offs that we're faced with here, time of year and temperature and weather. Right now, late March, temperature, wonderful. can get a little cold actually. Out in the bays, it's a little bit misty, a little bit hazy, and that's I guess just like an annual cycle of this time right now. So your trade-off is being very comfortable but not having perfect visibility. If you wait till like the peak of summer, very heavy tourism, vacancy rates are gonna be lower, prices are gonna be higher, temperature is gonna just be warm, but you'll get that poster perfect clarity out on the water. Listen, I gotta move on. I gotta stop talking at some point. I hope you found this mildly helpful and informative, and that I gave you a reason to consider this. It's a pretty cool place. I've been here for a week and a half now, and there's other places to go. I gotta get back on the road. So I will see you in the next town.